interactive with X-Ray, where we bring trading experts to you live in the platform. Choose sessions, watch live market analysis, and catch up on your favorite market insights anytime. Ask questions and go one-to-one with leading experts on gold, oil, FX, crypto, indices, and equities. X-Ray, your very own analysis team, right at your fingertips. That's higher trading from MarketsX. Discover how some of the top executives are trading their own companies with our Insider Trades tool. See who's been buying or selling stock and what their trades say about insider sentiment. Use this unique big data tool to make more informed stock trades. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
And we're live. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another busy day in the markets with InstructFX. My name is Andrew, and today I'm bringing you the latest news from the markets before the opening bell, along with Rian Hobson. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's get started. Just before we get started, I want to rest assure you that anything you hear or see during our live talk shows does not represent investment advice nor a solicitation to buy or sell contracts for difference or cryptocurrencies. Financial instruments are complex products that carry high risk, so you better do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. Now, here's what's happening in the markets on this beautiful Wednesday, 18th of August, 2021. The U.S. stock markets point to another lower opening today, extending yesterday's losses on fears that the escalation of infections with a new virus will hit global growth. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, and also the heavy tech NASDAQ all traded lower before the opening bell today, anywhere between 0.3 and 0.1% respectively. The US dollar index inched a bit higher today ahead of the FOMC meeting minutes, which will be announced later in the day, just 1 week ahead of the Fed meeting at Jackson Hole, where the FED Chairman Jerome Powell might use the symposium to flag an imminent start to the reduction of bond purchases, currently running at an astonishing $120 billion a month. The euro marked little gains today, even though the inflation numbers for July came out in line with analysts' predictions. And the pound also inched to the downside today after the inflation data came out below expectations. The Aussie dollar continued to trade to the downside on the European trading session after the wage price index released this morning showed a drop of 2 basis points, coming out at just 0.4% versus the 0.6% expected by consensus. In the commodities markets, crude oil prices marked very little gains today ahead of the crude oil inventories, trading at around $67 per barrel earlier in the session. But overall, the price action is still below the 200 moving average, which stands at $68, still indicating potential weakness in the price. Gold futures were steady just short of the $1,800 mark today, correcting somewhat after the big sell-off that happened in the first week of August. But the sentiment still remains negative for gold. And the last but not the least, in the cryptocurrencies markets, Bitcoin and Ethereum gave back some gains overnight, with Bitcoin falling below the $45,000 mark and Ethereum settling just below the $3,000 mark. Right, Rian Hobson will join us shortly after the break with some news from South Africa and from the commodities markets, because we all know how much Rian Hobson loves trading crude oil WTI. From Europe to South Africa, from Limassol to Cape Town and London, this is InstructFX News. U.S. markets open, coming up. Right, joining us live from Cape Town, South Africa, Rian Hobson, just 1 hour ahead of the crude oil inventories. Good afternoon, Rian. How is South Africa doing today?
Good afternoon. It's getting warmer.
It's getting warmer, and I see a smile on your face. Right. I heard the gas price is going up in South Africa, right? Are you considering getting a moped or a motorbike soon?
We need that to cook. So we need a lower gas price, actually.
Right. I don't, to be honest, Rian, I don't know why you're complaining about the gas price. You're making money from trading. Yeah, you're making money from your talk show. Why are you complaining about?
There's no electricity. That is the worst thing ever.
What do you mean there's no electricity? Come
There's
on.
no electricity. We have load shedding in South Africa. The biggest power producer is actually had a huge generator got blown up. I think it was about last week. One of the generators blown up. So then when it gets to summer, they actually do maintenance on it. So which means there will be pressure on the grid. And so we need to do load shedding where we have 2 hours less, not electricity, and then 3 hours, no electricity. So it's going to be bad.
You remind me of the 80s when I was living in communism. Right. Today, let's have a quick look at the economic calendar. First of all, let's have a quick look at crude oil WTI, which got a bounce from that 50 moving average. It's currently trading at 66.94. It dropped below the $67 mark, 1 hour and a half ahead of the crude oil inventories. Now, in the economic calendar, we have a busy day today. We had a busy day. We had tons of announcements coming out. Yeah, we saw a bit of a weakness from CPI data coming out this morning on the pound. We saw the core CPI. Today we saw the core CPI coming out from South Africa, 0.5% and 1.1%, just as consensus predicted. So far, so good. Yeah, with the South African rand.
It actually was pushing up a bit this morning, and against the US dollar was retracing a bit. US dollar pushed up against the rand, and then there was a bit of a pullback, but it was up and down the whole entire day. But everything is okay. It's stubbornly sitting at 14.91 actually.
Right. Okay. Just close to the 15 mark, which is a decent exchange rate from what I know. Right. We saw the CPI data coming out from the Eurozone today, as expected, 0.7% year over year for July. Yeah, month over month for July, we saw negative 0.1%. And again, year over year for July, we saw 2.2%, which was in line with economists' expectations. But housing starts came out negative on the US dollar, 1.534 million, although the building permits came out at 1.635. Now, in 1 hour and a half from now, we're going to have crude oil inventories and cash in crude oil inventories. And later on, we're going to have the FOMC meeting minutes. What have you got for us from the commodities markets today, Rian? What's your expectation for crude oil?
Honestly, there was some speculation that goes on that it might be worse. The drawdown about 2.5 million. So 1.5 million sounds but okay, but they're talking about 2 million. OPEC was saying no, they're not going to pump more oil in because Joe Biden was asked them to pump more in, and they said no. So we might get, there's a high possibility we might get a heavy drawdown.
Let's see what's going to happen now. Considering I'm short on oil for a couple of days, I got stuck with that position. I saw it going my way the other day, so I said, "Okay, it's a small position. It's a tiny one. I'm just going to keep it open for a bit and see what's going to happen. If it's going to go against me, no worries. I'm protecting my account with a stop loss. So another stop loss triggered, most probably. What can you do?" Right. Earnings calendar. We still have something going on in the earnings calendar. We're going to have NVIDIA reporting later on today. Bear with me for just a second. There we go. I lost my screen. There we go. We're going to have NVIDIA reporting, Cisco reporting, Target as well. But as we look at the earnings calendar, we can see the earnings season easing off. Okay, probably it's the last week of announcements, so stocks might be an interesting run. We saw about 80% or 90% of the companies reporting this quarter reporting green numbers. Okay, so apparently the US economy tends to do a bit better. Right, Rian, gossip of the day. before the opening bell and before my guest for today comes in. I'm still stuck on the situation in Afghanistan. The images related by the news channels are absolutely mind-blowing and unprecedented, as I said yesterday. Last night, I was watching a press conference of the Taliban's, and they were promising that violence will not escalate anymore, and that all they want to do is run their country according to the Sharia law, to their religion. And if in the past years the measures were very rough against people that did not comply with the Sharia law, now supposedly they understand that the world has evolved, and they were talking about equal opportunity for women, as equal as the Sharia law can give. I know. Don't laugh, because it's a serious matter. It's difficult, even though people familiar with the matter said it's all smoke and mirrors, because the Sharia law basically does not really allow much freedom for women, and also people that listen to music and stuff like that. But it's tough what's going on. How do you see it from South Africa? Did you encounter similar situations in Africa when an entire country is basically immigrating to another country?
It is exactly like the same in Zimbabwe. What happened? They talk all good things about no, they're going to develop Zimbabwe and all of those things, and it just keep on the same story. South Africa is not. I will not say we are in the same boat as Afghanistan, but it's easy to talk. It's very easy to talk. Promises every time. This is going to happen. This is what they're going to do. But at the end, the actions speak louder than the words. So I honestly, look, personally, I don't think anybody must interfere with Afghanistan. I think they must just do what they need to do. As long as they don't bother other people or other countries, I think they can do whatever they want, because it's their country anyway.
But Rian, we're talking about 20 years of American presence in Afghanistan. So it's 20 years too late to say that, no one should get involved. Anyway, I have an opinion. You have an opinion. The entire world has an opinion. But let's see what my guest for today thinks about the situation in Afghanistan. Rian, stay with us. We're gonna get back to you in a couple of minutes. Right, ladies, gentlemen, traders, please welcome my special guest for today, joining us live from the sunny Spain, Brad Alexander, CEO at FX Large. Brad, very good afternoon to you. There we go.
Good afternoon, Andrew. Yeah, there we go. Nice for you to have me. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to see you here as well. What do you make of the situation in Afghanistan, Brad?
Well, you guys just covered it very well looking at the last few days of what's happening. I mean, we've seen some horrific images at the airports and so forth, and it's just been terrible. But what's happening is that people are assuming that the old Taliban that they hated 20 years ago have come back. I saw the press conferences last night too, and everybody's taking the exact same attitude. Those are words. Let's see if you can do it. The difference I found, though, and I've been watching American news, I've been watching British news, and interviewing the people, and the soldiers on the street clearly have been trained to say the right things. Look, get on with your businesses. Just go back to school, do this, do that. We're not here to hurt you. We're just here because we're back. If this is true, then I'm going to jump right to the punchline. These guys have an amazing opportunity, and I'm going to get to why they have that opportunity in a few minutes. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but here they are. And all we can do is cross our fingers. And I mean, Boris Johnson said, it is what it is. And he didn't use those words, but he says his biggest fear is that they're going to be plotting more global terrorism, which is how it all, back in the 90s when it all came to light in the first place. And I'll talk about that in a second. So you've got a history of a group of people who were brutal. You couldn't trust them. They, as you just said, they lie through their faces. As Reem said, the actions are louder than words. So time will tell. But in this case, that time is going to be very compressed. And as you pointed out, that these guys don't wait around. I mean, they were back at home, let's say, back in Afghanistan, back in Kabul. I mean, in literally a matter of days. Exactly. Yeah. So, and we're going to be talking about that in a minute. So the situation in Afghanistan, I mean, I'm the eternal optimist. I would like to believe these guys, and I'm sure the rest of the world would love to believe these guys. If they are true to their word, they have an amazing opportunity. And I'll talk about what I mean by that in a second.
Yeah. What do you think about Joe Biden's statement a couple of days ago when he said that they weren't there to help them rebuild the country? It's been 20 years of casualties on both sides, billions of dollars spent. And in only 10 days, as we all saw, after the Americans departed, the Taliban took over the country. How does this make sense? What's the point of sending an army and spending a huge amount of money? I don't know if it's billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, yet from taxpayers' money. If you're not going to help a country recover, well, you're just going to sit there as security. What are you going to do?
Okay, well, according to NBC, it was billions per month. Even 10 years ago. I know we don't have much time, but I'm going to give you. Let's go through a quick history lesson as to how all this evolved. And for Joe Biden, I mean, Joe Biden and Angela Merkel said the same thing. We had to get out, but everybody was completely blown away by the speed at which this happened. And Joe Biden was playing a leader. He was doing a job as a leader, which his president didn't do. And he said, look, we did the right thing here, but we screwed up here. And he didn't take any questions and he got off the stage. I think at the end of the day, he'll be seen as being right. And I'll explain why. Quick history lesson. Getting back to the Clinton administration and the Blair administrations. I'm going back a ways, obviously. These terror training camps in Afghanistan, there's no way they didn't know in those days that they were going on. The CIA didn't want to go into the mountains. I mean, if you watch Homeland, the TV show, you'll know these guys know about these training camps. Been going on forever. Clearly, they didn't take it seriously, and then 9/11 happened. People don't look back in history and saying this happened on Clinton's watch, but it did. 9/11 happened. Everybody was appalled by the atrocity and the lack of security. And then George W. Bush came in and said, okay, I'm going to be a leader. And he was a good leader. He was good to the people. He says, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to go and find out what happened. I'm going to get these people and so forth. And they went in and they did. They achieved their mission. A lot of people were saying he had to do this because his father didn't finish the job. And I'm going back a few years to, the Middle East war. I don't agree with that because this would have happened anyway. There are so many different factions of these guys around the world, and there were 9/11 would have happened regardless of who finished what war in Iraq or what George Bush did. Anyway, point I'm trying to make is I'm going to try to condense this very quickly. When George W. Bush decided we're going to go into Afghanistan, clean up the mess, and we're going to help rebuild the country. Keep in mind that George W. Bush was, to be honest, there's no way to put a finer point on this, was really not leading the country or looking at global economics. Dick Cheney was. Dick Cheney didn't do anything unless he could personally benefit. He saw Afghanistan as being a complete diamond in the rough. So they went in there, to say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to rebuild the country. And I think they had the right idea, but unfortunately it was never implemented. And that was less to do with the Americans and more to do with the Afghani governments over the last 20 years. And the reason I'm saying that, if you look at, just Google it now, Afghanistan has vast amounts of resources.
Yeah, true.
We are in a green, and we right now we're living through some amazing history, with coronavirus and Trump and Afghanistan. We'll be looking back at this a few years and saying, wow, the stuff that was going on. The scuttlebutt on the internet now is that Afghanistan could be the Saudi Arabia of green energy because they have so much lithium. And of course, the Chinese want it. The Russians want it. What boggles the mind is that the Americans were in there. In fact, we were all in there for 20 years, pumping billions and billions or trillions into this government that were more interested in building gold-plated toilets and beautiful mansions than they were in developing their own country. Here we have, move ahead 20 years. The Taliban were kicked out 20 years ago, sheltered probably in Pakistan. Now we have the sons of the mullahs are coming back to take over. Let's hope that they've educated themselves on what could be done in Afghanistan, because it is Dick Cheney was right. Dick Cheney, I have to say, was a scumbag criminal. He would do anything for himself and nobody else. He wanted to go into Afghanistan for his own purposes, and it didn't work out. And because they didn't have the right partners, let's face it, for 20 years, they had the wrong partners.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Taliban in there now are going to be good partners, but if they have done their research, want to build a country, they have an amazing opportunity. So who do they work with? Who are they going to work with? The Americans, the Russians, the Chinese. The Chinese want the lithium. I mean, everybody wants the lithium, but they've got natural resources, copper, gold, petroleum, that have been sitting there forever, and the previous government didn't even take a sniff at it, and they had every opportunity to do so. I mean, you look at history, many countries like the British and the Americans have gone into Africa and developed countries to get oil. They didn't do that in Afghanistan, and it boggles the mind. So when Joe Biden says we were there to rebuild the country, well, I'm sorry, you were, but it just didn't get implemented.
Exactly.
But I do agree with Joe Biden in one sense. There's no good time to exit, to take the army out. It was like ripping off a Band-Aid, as we say in North America. It has to be done. And
yeah, but if Joe Biden, let's say, indirectly left behind hundreds of tanks, hundreds of vehicles, hundreds of weapons, then basically you're helping the Taliban take over the city. Right now, we see serious issues, with people, with civilians trying to get out of the country. How does this situation in Afghanistan impact the euro and the European Union, Brad?
Well, it's like any other humanitarian catastrophe. If it turns out that there are massive exodus of refugees, then it's going to affect everybody, and it generally ends up affecting the European Union. I mean, if the Taliban are true to their word, and as we heard last night, maybe this won't happen. I'm not saying every refugee is going to turn around and go back to Afghanistan, because this has happened so many times around the world, where as you're going to be talking about, is that they try to get to Britain as well. It becomes a big problem. If that happens, it will come right back to us again. There's so many different refugee crises around the world that have happened to defense of Europe. Fingers crossed that the Taliban are true to their word, and we won't have this. That's the only thing I can see happening.
But this is where I'm going with the questions, because do you think the European Union or Europe or even the United Kingdom is ready to sustain this influx economy-wise?
Absolutely not. I mean, it didn't work in the past, and now you've got COVID to you and I can't even get on a plane and fly into London or anywhere else without massive amounts of checks, even if you could. So boatloads or truckloads of refugees right now. I mean, never mind the economic impact, just add in COVID. You can't physically get people into a country regardless. And when you do get them in, it's a triple.
What do you do with them?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean,
what do you do with them?
Typically, the idea is to get aid in there when you can to stop the refugee crisis. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. Let's hope there isn't a refugee crisis this time.
There is, Brad, and it's been running for years. I have a theory which I keep talking about years and years now. Instead of armies going in a country and conquering the country, it's much easier if you just go there, you separate the green from the red, let's say, the good from the bad. You move the good at the border, you get rid of the bad, and if every single country chucks in $1 million or $2 million, which is way less than they're paying to send troops there, then they're going to help that country rebuild. Fair enough.
That's what should have happened. But I mean, I think they were trying to do that in Afghanistan. There were a lot of contractors who were going. In fact, I've had friends who are working there in various areas in IT, but it was all more or less based on military. And I don't understand why over the last 20 years that they didn't do that in Afghanistan. Obviously, they want to keep the peace with the military, and they keep, as we saw, they kept talking about training the Afghani military for, again, 20 years. And it was a complete waste of time. And I've seen lots of anecdotes, interviews with journalists, ex-military men. And there were many, many issues that they just couldn't get around. And basic fact, and there was one, I saw an interview the other day on Bloomberg with a congressman who fought in Afghanistan in 2012. And he says they were great guys working alongside, but there were two problems. One is that all these different Afghani soldiers were from different parts of the country from different tribes, literally, and different, not really different religion. They didn't have a loyalty to any one particular place except their own town. But the biggest problem was that the money that was getting there, the aid to feed these soldiers and to arm these soldiers and buy the socks, were never getting very often to the soldiers. The money was being skimmed off by, at head office. And the morale was completely demolished. And I saw another interview with a journalist who was actually attending a training session. He said there were 30 soldiers in there being trained by American group. He says 10 were asleep, literally falling asleep. Another 10 literally were chatting amongst themselves and telling jokes, and maybe 10 more were paying attention. And this was the problem. They really didn't have it. And as Joe Biden said, you can teach people to do this, you can give them money, you can do that, but you can't instill the need to fight. And they didn't feel they had the need to fight. And they also saw their commanders and their politicians who were literally skimming money off the aid and putting it into the beautiful homes and all this kind of stuff. So it was a complete mess, moral mess. I think you were getting at, instead of sending in armies, obviously maybe in the first case you need to send in the army because they had a military mission.
Clean everything.
Yeah, but then send in people or companies to build the infrastructure to get this lithium, to get the petrol, to get this. Clearly, that didn't happen, and I can't hand on heart go back in history and say why that didn't happen. If you're a president of a government, doesn't matter if that's Afghanistan or somewhere on Mars, and you have an opportunity to develop your country with its amazing untapped resources, I don't care how corrupt you are, you're probably going to take some opportunity to do that just so you can look like the good guy. That never happened in Afghanistan. It boggles the mind.
No, it didn't, unfortunately. Is this situation going to impact commodities prices like crude oil, for example, since we have the crude oil inventories 1 hour from now?
It will, but it's going to take years to develop the infrastructure anywhere in the world like Afghanistan. I mean, don't forget, a lot of this country is extremely rugged. You can't just sort of roll in with some construction material and start building stuff. That's getting back to the history. That's one of the problems they had with these training camps. They were so isolated in such a rugged territory, and a lot of these areas where the minerals are, like lithium and so forth, are in extremely rugged areas. So it's not going to happen this year or next year. And you need all the ducks have to be in a row. The Afghanis, the Taliban, need the will to do this, and hopefully they have the education now and the wherewithal to want to do it. Then they need partners. They're not going to do it on their own. They'll have to choose partners between China, Russia, United States, Britain, whomever, who are going to come in and help build this infrastructure. So this is a long-term process. So by the time they start pumping oil, this could be, 5-10 years from now. I think it's highly likely they'll be doing more on terms of their mineral resources before anything else.
As I was saying yesterday, first they need the government, and then they can talk about exploiting their natural resources. How do you see the situation evolving in the next 6 months in Afghanistan, Brad? Do you see the Americans going back to Afghanistan and trying to settle things?
I see everybody in the world trying to go back and settle things. I mean, as I was saying, everybody, and again, it's a big if the Taliban can be trusted and they're going to do the right thing and treat their people well and rebuild their economy, invite in the right partners. And it's like anything. If you're hiring somebody for a job or you want to find a partner, they're going to be, and the Chinese we know have been talking to the Taliban for quite some time, getting ready for this moment for two reasons. One, they want the resources, but also don't forget, Afghanistan has a tiny bit of border that borders on China. They don't want they don't want things spilling over on the wrong side of the border. So, but the Chinese definitely want to get their hands on these resources. So it's going to be a process of forming a government, which we see they can do things very quickly. And again, if we can trust them, they'll need to be talking to a variety of different multinational countries and companies who's going to come in and help us. And we know, Russia's not that far away, but they don't trust each other. Can they trust Americans and vice versa?
After
Doubtful,
20
but
years. I think they bonded after 20 years.
but bond with whom? This is the problem. The Taliban were kicked out. Don't forget, they were kicked out by the guys who are in power now. Their fathers were booted out of the country 20 years ago. So whether they're going to hold that against them, who knows? It's
Let's
all
see
to
what's
do
going to
with
happen.
exactly. It's a will to move forward. And also one quick last thing. I mean, you see the pictures of the Taliban, sitting back in the homes of these ex-Afghani political officials. I mean, the vast opulence. You see where the money had gone. It didn't go into building lithium mines. It went into making gold-lined curtains and gold plumbing fixtures.
It's a culture.
Hopefully, they're going to want to do the opposite. They're going to want to say, we don't want this is what we took over. And the thing is, as well, one quick last point is that corruption doesn't go to bed alone.
No.
It's easy to say that all these Afghani politicians and then warlords skimmed off the pot and built their own lives instead of building gold mines. But a lot of people had to look the other way. And I can go on a limb here and I can say Americans, Brits, whoever were in there. This kind of corruption on this scale, billions of dollars per month over 20 years, does not go unnoticed. And they didn't do it on their own. As I say, I'm going to use that phrase: corruption doesn't go to bed alone.
No, very well said. Right, one last question, because we're already 5 minutes into the U.S. trading session. Crude oil WTI, crude oil inventories in 1 hour from now. What's your view on crude oil WTI, Brad?
Well, let's see it. I mean, right now demand is lower, and as you pointed out earlier, because of COVID. I mean, I'm not going to take a view on the inventories because every time I do that, it comes out wrong. I think we need more important story about than the inventories is actually the demand, and Delta is going to dictate the demand on WTI.
Right, fair point. Brad, thank you ever so much for today. I'm looking forward to the next one. Very, very good point of view when it comes to Afghanistan. And of course, the crude oil WTI as well. Thank you so much for today, Brad. I'll see you soon.
Andrew. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you so much. Right, ladies, gentlemen, traders, we're exactly 5 minutes into the U.S. trading session. We're going to take 30 seconds, and then we're going to come back live with the charts of the day, the signals of the day, and why not, some cryptocurrency news. There's something happening with the crypto markets. I'll share that with you in a few minutes. Rian Hobson will join us in 30 seconds as well for the charts of the day. Stay tuned.
Discover how some of the top executives are trading their own companies with our Insider Trades tool. See who's been buying or selling stock and what their trades say about insider sentiment. Use this unique big data tool to make more informed stock trades. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
Right, ladies, gentlemen, traders, Rian Hobson is joining us for the opening bell. Good afternoon, Rian, once again.
Good afternoon, I'm back. It was absolutely good. I was actually laughing about it, but it was a good chat.
I love having Brad in the studio. He has a huge amount of knowledge, and he's sharing everything for free. So why not? Right, a few minutes into the U.S. trading session, beautiful people. We're looking at crude oil WTI trading at $66.47. 7 minutes into the U.S. trading session, we had that bounce from the 200 moving average, and we see crude oil WTI pushing to the downside. RSI stochastic pushing to the downside as well. There you go, Rian. We were talking about the crude oil WTI earlier on. There we go. Once again, I'm going to congratulate myself. If I manage to close this trade successfully, I'm going to congratulate myself. Right. Euro USD. Euro is pushing to the downside after the opening bell. 117.11, again with the RSI stochastic pointing downwards. We might see the euro pushing even lower today. There we go. The pound. There we go. The pound started trading to the upside a few hours back, but it got rejected by the 50 moving average and is currently trading at 137.60 and pointing downwards, just like the euro. Let's see what's happening with the US dollar after the opening bell. The US dollar index, no, the USD JPY pushed higher today on the European trading session. It's currently trading at 109.84, and we see it testing, flirting with that 200 moving average to the upside. So far, we see the price action apparently settling above the 200 moving average. So if that's the case, then probably traders will eye the 110. Yeah, the 110.50 as the first take profit target to the upside. The Aussie dollar, Rian, what's happening with the Aussie dollar, man? It's taking a beating every single day.
Yeah, as I said yesterday, it was the one thing that I pointed out. It was that death cross that I pointed out. I think it was yesterday when we had a chat. But also this morning, the wages, the Australian wages were actually bad. Because the central bank is depending on that wages to push inflation up or to keep inflation actually stable in Australia. And with the wages that's fall below forecast every single time, the currency will get a beating. Because what is the use of creating jobs, but the wages are not picking up?
Exactly. People don't have money to spend, basically. They just work to live.
Absolutely.
Which is a big problem.
And on top of that, you have the variant that is actually ripping Australia apart. And so that is also a setback for them. And lastly, they are not sure, must they stop tapering? Because they did actually talk about they're going to reduce the tapering and they're going to review it in November. But now that whole language was changing, that there's a bit of doubts in it. So I think there's more pressure for Australia.
There is, and the Kiwi dollar is taking a beating as well. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on with the charts after the opening. 0.7242 for the Aussie dollar this afternoon. We see trading pushing to the downside, and marking losses after losses with every trading session that goes by. We're looking at the USD CAD, which gained a bit at the European trading session, then decided to trade to the downside and retest that 50 moving average, 126.16 for USD CAD. We see RSI pointing upwards and turning around from the 50% mark, which usually indicates a bit of strength in the currency. Let's see what's happening with the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones on a 5-minute chart. There we go. We saw a negative opening. And as things stand right now, we might see a correction, a retest of that 200 MA to the upside for the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. Negative opening for the Dow Jones as well. We see the markets trying to correct a bit a few minutes into the U.S. trading session. There we go. We see Dow Jones picking up, but still 35,268.85 for the Dow Jones industrial average. Let's see what's happening with Apple. After the opening bell, negative opening for Apple, but seems to be picking up right now, $149.86. Let's see what's happening with Amazon. Amazon quite steady from yesterday, 3239.87 for Amazon. Nvidia, negative opening for Nvidia. We see a dead cross like Rian was mentioning a couple of minutes ago, and we see the price action creating lower highs, with every trading session that goes by. So let's see, we might see Nvidia trading as low as $190, or why not 188 on the US trading session today. US dollar index seems to be settling above the $93 mark, 93.127, 10 minutes into the US trading session today. Decent gains for the US dollar index, but nothing spectacular. We see gold futures moving closer to that $1,800 per ounce, still trading at 1,788.95, but still quite steady. Nothing massive has happened yet with gold futures, nor with silver futures. There we go. If anything, we can see it pushing to the downside than to the upside. 23.55 for silver futures this afternoon. Let's see how Tesla is doing. There we go. Positive opening for Tesla. Still below the $700 mark. 672.72 at the opening. But again, the price fell below the 200 and the 50 moving average. So let's see what's going to happen. Facebook opened to the upside, but it's currently trading to the downside from what we see. $359.25 for Facebook. This is what happens when you block my adverts, guys. Your share price goes down. I have a personal thing with Facebook and the latest changes in the regulation. And you know why, Rian? Because we're not doing anything wrong. Yeah, we're not giving investment advice. We have all the disclaimers out there. What I'm trying to do is actually provide the people the fair news, yeah, and a fair point of view and the fair information. And Facebook, their algorithm keeps associating me with a Forex company for some reason. And I'm not. We're not a Forex company. Yeah. So once again, thank you so much, Facebook. We're trying to pass a message out there to the retail trader, yeah, to that guy that gets ripped off by a scammy company. Yeah, and my adverts are not allowed to go through, but the scammers on the other side, yeah, are bashing people with millions of adverts every day on Facebook. That's what's happening, beautiful people, and people click on those links and get scammed. Thank you very much. There we go. Let's. I had something to say. Sorry, it's annoying me for quite some time now. Right, $358.52 for Facebook and dropping. There you go. Your advertising revenue from legit companies will suffer in the third quarter, most probably. 173.44 for Alibaba Group this afternoon. We see Alibaba making a U-turn and pointing to the downside for a couple of weeks, if not a month or so. Right, let's see what's happening with Bitcoin. Bitcoin still below the 200 moving average. We see a dead cross to be formed there by the 50 and the 200 MA. 45.169 for Bitcoin this afternoon, and Ethereum $3,045.82. You see, Rian, if you would have bought Ethereum a couple of weeks ago when I was telling you about it, yeah, I wasn't pushing you to buy because I'm not giving investment advice. You would have lost money now. So well done.
Absolutely.
But in the same time, if you were the trade CFDs and you're caught on the wrong side of the trade, you would still lose money. So there's no difference there. Right. Let's do something. Let's take 30 seconds so I can catch my breath and come up with another line to bash another big company, another FANG stock that's making my life difficult. And then we're going to look at some cryptocurrencies, Rian, because I know you love them so much. And I must keep you aware, yeah, with what's happening on the crypto markets. Is that a deal?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Right. Something is buzzing. You better disconnect that. Right. Okay. No worries. I'll see you in 30 seconds. We're coming back live with the crypto news to see the top gainers and the top losers in the crypto markets.
Discover how some of the top executives are trading their own companies with our Insider Trades tool. See who's been buying or selling stock and what their trades say about insider sentiment. Use this unique big data tool to make more informed stock trades. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
Right, and we're back, beautiful people, with the crypto news and with the top gainers and losers. Let's see first of all how the big coins moved in the last 24 hours. We see Bitcoin pulling back 3.7% or almost 3.8%. Ethereum and Ethereum 2 dropped 7.6% in the last 24 hours. Binance Coin dropped 7.9%. Cardano shed 6.1%. Ripple also lost almost 10%, and Dogecoin dropped 12.7%. Now let's see the top gainers in the last 24 hours. We're looking at Quant having the ticker QNT gaining 22.2% in the last 24 hours. We see Wrapped Luna token, or W Luna, gaining 18.5%. Solana gained 14.3%. Terra Luna, a lot of Lunas, gained 8.8%. TrueFi 3.8%. Harvest Finance only 3% gain in the last 24 hours. Barnbridge 0.6%, and Binance USD marked a gain of 0.2%. You see, Rian, some people are making profits from the crypto markets.
Not everybody.
You could have made 22.2% with Quant in the last 24 hours.
Or I would have traded your favorite your favorite crypto, which was a Dogecoin.
That's Elon Musk's favorite, man. That's your guy from South Africa. Okay, so don't put words into my mouth. Dogecoin is by far one of the worst currencies ever, in my point of view, because it does not have a functionality, a purpose just yet. Okay, and I can say this because I do hold the Dogecoin in my portfolio, so I can have an opinion. Right, let's have a quick look and see the top losers in the last 24 hours. I know, Rian, but I gotta keep compliance off our backs. You know how compliance is. Right, Axie Infinity shed 13.1% in the last 24 hours. We're looking at Balancer dropping 12.6%. Fetch.ai dropped 12.3%. Request dropped over 12%. Uniswap, 12.2%. Gitcoin, whatever that coin is, dropped 2.1%. Compound, 11.8%. And ZRX, also 11.8%. See, we have losers as well on the crypto markets. However, we know that the cryptos fluctuate like this every day. So a fluctuation of 20% with these small coins, yeah, I don't see it as a big problem. But what is worth noting on 24 hours is that the market is down 4.22%. This is what's happening with the crypto markets.
No, that moves are a bit too heavy for me. It's like you get an 8% move, a 7% move, like in a nutshell. And that we see maybe once every second quarter in the FX or commodity market, not on a daily basis. That is not for the faint-hearted.
This is how it works. I mean, they're high rollers. What can I say? And it's normal if you know the volatility. And think about it this way, Rian, because we're talking about cryptos. No, we're talking about how much you don't like cryptos every day. And I'm trying to persuade you to open up to cryptos a bit. You can play it exactly as you play CFDs. Yeah, very small exposure considering the volatility.
No. You see, my small exposure helps with the FX market and commodity market, not with those guys, with the cryptos. With this account that I have that I demonstrated yesterday, it will be wiped out in less than an hour.
No, there is a difference. If you trade cryptos as CFDs, probably yes. Yeah, because there's high volatility. You're only required to put in 5% of what that position would worth without leverage. So a small move like that and you're gone. But when you're purchasing cryptos and you're holding them from a crypto exchange, yeah, you're not going to get wiped out unless that specific coin gets to zero. That's when you're going to lose your investment.
That I agree with you, but not trading it like online. Never. I would rather buy it, keep the coin. That I'm with you.
Right. You could also trade it as contract for difference, because if you can't invest big money to create a portfolio, for example, yeah, and just wait for them to move like you do with stocks, yeah, you can scalp the markets every day, and you see gains of 20% on one coin. And the coins are quite cheap. We're talking about $22 value, 40 cents value, 17 cents value. Yeah, they're not all as expensive as Bitcoin. So with $500, let's say, or $1,000, you could create an interesting portfolio of cheaper altcoins, let's say, not just Bitcoin and Ethereum.
I agree. But it's just one thing. Just imagine if you open up a trade buying Bitcoin with a small account and then you need to go to sleep. It's impossible to sleep. That account will get wiped up immediately. If you wake up, it's zero. No, thank you.
Okay. Well, I understand your concern when it comes to trading CFDs. Mind you, looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum and looking at the top 5, let's say, yeah, the most stable coins, yeah, the top 5, you're going to see that they don't jump as much, 20, 30, 50% in one day anymore. Yeah, because they're quite expensive now, and a jump like that would...
But they have the potential to jump 5% in an hour.
Yes, and if you're on the good side of the trade, I think you're gonna call me and congratulate me for telling you about cryptos. See it
No
this way.
way.
See it this way. You put in $100,000. What's 5%? It's $5,000 in an hour.
That is if you're on the right side. That is a big if. I think that's a 90% if.
Why? Buy low, sell high. This is how the markets go.
That story never works out. Never.
What do you mean? So it works out if you're buying when the price is high and selling if the price is low?
With your normal FX or your normal commodities, you need to understand it's summer, it's winter. There's no pattern whatsoever there with cryptos. It just goes up, it just goes down. What's his name? Elon Musk. He just says something. There it goes. No way. No. I
Yeah.
like with patterns, weather, all of those things need to come in effect. So
Okay.
it makes sense.
Okay, let me tell you something. In the first quarter of this year, we saw McDonald's share tumbling once a news came out that one of the CEOs of McDonald's had an affair with an employee. So a news like that moves the stock markets as well, not just cryptocurrencies.
I fully understand. Even with the FX market, anything can happen there. You have the Taliban that maybe can do something, and then your dollar could be in a mess. So there's a high possibility, but there is other ways also to trade where you have weather patterns, you have cycles, and those. There is no cycle whatsoever when it comes to cryptos. It just moves however you wish.
Fair
At least
enough.
you can, if something bad happens, you can look maybe, for example, at can you hold on? Is there maybe a pattern that will go in, like a weather pattern or something that can hold? Can you hold on to this loss? But with cryptos, there's no such thing. If you're gone, you're gone.
It depends if
Like
you're
playing the lotto.
It depends if you're trading contracts for difference, or if you're investing in a proper portfolio and you're allowing your portfolio to work for you. This is how it goes. Right. Rian, this is it for today. Thank you ever so much. I'm looking forward to September when we're going to start broadcasting hours and hours and hours, and I'm going to talk to you every day. Right. Join me again tomorrow, and we're going to resume the chat. Have a good one, Rian, and may all your trades be in the money. What can I say if you're going to trade today?
Cool. Thanks a lot.
See you soon. Take care. Right, ladies, gentlemen, traders. This is it from my side today. We had Rian Hobson with us like every other day for a very interesting round of market talks. I'm still not managing to get Rian to embrace cryptocurrencies, at least to want to learn a bit more about them. But hey, at least we're here talking about the financial markets every day. Right, this is it from my side today, guys. Join me again tomorrow, same time, same place for a new round of market talks. If you like what you see during our live broadcast, like, share, subscribe, and support us in delivering more great content. And until tomorrow, please remember to trade responsibly, and may all your trades be in the money. This show was sponsored by Markets.com.
Discover how some of the top executives are trading their own companies with our Insider Trades tool. See who's been buying or selling stock and what their trades say about insider sentiment. Use this unique big data tool to make more informed stock trades. That's higher trading from Market.